Today I'll be teaching you guys how to make a clean blunt cut or trim. So when you have wigs and you don't like their preferred length and you want it to become shorter, like a bob wig or stuff like that, like a long wig unit that you want to change to your preferred length, this is what you will do. So you get the tape. You must get a measuring tape. You tape from the closure area. Remember, you get two measuring tape. You tape at both sides of the closure, at the left hand side and at the right hand side. This is a typical example of what I'm saying on the screen. Yes, so I taped at the left hand and the right hand side, and I started cutting with my clipper. I made a nice neat trim with my clipper. So after trimming the first side, you placed your tape. You also cut out the other section. The reason for cutting out this section is so that you will meet at a point. When trimming, you're supposed to trim in such a way that you meet at a point for a perfect cut. So now I'll go back to the first one I initially trimmed, and this is what I'm having. I'll start trimming in a very straight manner. Remember to hold your clipper, positioning the straight sides. Don't try and bend it. Make sure your clipper is always on the straight side of the wig that you are trimming, and you keep on going round and round and round until you meet at the point you initially trimmed at the other extreme end of the wig unit you are trimming. So this is the process in this video. Carefully and gently I was trimming it. You do not necessarily need to trim out the whole hair immediately. You can just trim the first layer of the hair to get your base and to get the straight line you are looking for, and then after that you start trimming out anyone that is kind of excessively long from the already trimmed out area. So after trimming this, remember there is still hair underneath this. I'll start trimming the hairs that are underneath. That's what's in the video now, so I'll allow you guys to go through and see exactly what I'm doing before I continue. Please note that when you are trimming, you try to use your hand, your left side hand or any other free hand, to adjust the sections or the areas that you are trimming, and after that you go back to trim off any extra hair that is not in line with or the already trimmed out section that you have. So imagine now, just look at this video. You will see that we met at the point where I actually trimmed initially to mark my base. We actually met at that point. That is to show that I was trimming in a straight line section. Just a little slight difference in the video, and that is not much, because if you don't do this, you will notice that you might over trim your wig unit. So after this, you now start trimming any area that doesn't look straight, because we want a neatly cut out section for this particular wig unit that we are trimming. So now, remember I told you that when you are starting to trim initially, or when you start trimming, you don't need to cut out the hair that is in the innermost part or the wefts that are in. You just cut out the ones you can see. The reason for this is that you might actually cut off a chunk or a large sum of hair, and you will notice that you made mistake previously. So to correct that might be very hard, but if you have some still left, just like the ones you're seeing on my screen, just like the hairs you're seeing, the hairs left on my screen, you will notice that you can be able to correct whatever mistake you have. So you trim carefully. Now we have an even cut, but not really that even. So we bend the tripod slightly. We bend it slightly, retight and refix it, and then you see this tiny hairs coming out. If you leave it this way, if you go out for a function with this type of hair, if you bend, the back will not be nice. It will not be looking nice. So you set your clipper at whatever setting you have initially for it, and you trim out the underneath of the wefts or the trimmed out section carefully. You don't overdo this way, so that you have an uneven, so you will not have an uneven cut. Now after cutting out, oh my god, so now sorry for that. So now after cutting the underneath of the wefts you have, you will notice that everything, even when bent slightly, is actually even. In this video I have bent this particular one on the screen slightly, and I noticed that it's even now. Everything is coming together. Notice, see, I just have a little to just touch here and there, and I'm good to go. If you flip the hair, everything is giving what it should be give, because I actually bent over to cut underneath of the waist, and I still have to trim whatever that loose kind of off once the canvas head has been turned or bent slightly over. So this is what we have. See, if you open underneath of this weight, everything is equal. You don't have one that is longer or bigger, or the length that is particularly longer than a particular length. The back, the front, everything stops at an even end, at a blunt end. So you use your comb to check if you actually did the trimming right, and from what I have here, it was done perfectly. So this is all about trimming. Please do subscribe, follow, and share this video if you learned anything. And then if you subscribe, you'll be getting more tutorials from us. So it's Oma here. You can follow us also on IG. It is being displayed on the screen. Thanks.